Hello and welcome to the final in our little mini series on Jesus's riddles, with a message brought to us by Alex Brown with his wonderful visuals and way of communicating. Like before, we'll have a series of questions after Alex's message, which you can go through together or on your own, depending on how you're watching this video. Feel free to select some or go through all of them. It's totally up to you. Right, over to Alex.
I don't know about you, but I quite enjoy jigsaws. Not like my wife enjoys them, she loves them, the lovely Amanda. And if there's a missing piece, I mean, my word, it drives me bonkers because a missing piece just, I can't complete it, and sometimes science is a bit like doing jigsaws, isn't it? The pieces that are in front of us, we try and put them together. Every now and again, we'll find a new piece that links two pieces together and we go, oh, these two pieces all go together, and sometimes it's like, oh, this whole section's in the wrong place. And there have been massive moments in history where we have found a new piece of the jigsaw and we've gone, hey, we've assumed the picture is this, and actually the whole picture is something slightly different. I think God's kind of made us like that, hasn't he? I don't know about you, but I put all the pieces of my life together and try and figure out how it all works. But there are some parts of the jigsaw we just have no pieces for, like we're all caterpillars and we live in a garden and we only ever see things from the perspective of a worm's eye view, and we've got no idea what's going to come next. We see our other caterpillars going into their little cocoons and we assume they've gone. And we don't understand that maybe one day they'll come out and they'll be able to fly. I've got some of those questions there are no pieces for. See if this strikes a chord with you. Have you ever asked this question? If God is good, why do such horrific things happen to people? I've got that question. How about this one? I know I'm supposed to think I've got free will, but when I look backwards at my life, I can see things that I know were meant to happen. I was in the right place at the right time, and this thing was supposed to happen to me. So was I crowbarred into that position? Was I fooled into thinking I had free will? And here's another one. If God's in control, why do I bother praying or doing good at all if he's in control? And if he's not in control, why on earth would I pray anyway? I'm not alone in this. When Jesus walked around, there were two main groups of Jewish leaders, Pharisees and Sadducees, and they both had tons of questions for each other and for Jesus, sometimes trying to disprove each other's thinking. And one of the main differences between the Pharisees and the Sadducees is that the Pharisees believed one day there'd be a resurrection for everyone who's died, and the Sadducees didn't believe that. They believed when you died, you're kind of just dissolved and you're gone. So one day these Sadducees come to see Jesus. They're trying to trick him with one of those impossible philosophical questions. The ones like, if a tree falls down in a forest and no one's there, does it even make a sound? Questions like that, but there are no answers for. So here's the question they have for Jesus. It's a weird question. Go with it. It's pretty violent. Teacher, they say, in Moses' writing, it's a custom that if a man dies, his brother would take on the wife to look after her. Well, imagine there's a family with 7 brothers. The first one marries a woman, but then sadly, he dies. Whoa! So the second in line marries her, but shortly after, he dies too. Whoa! Then the third takes her as his wife, but he dies. Then the same happens for the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, and the seventh, until eventually she dies as well. Well, the question is, in the resurrection, whose wife is she going to be? Now, I'm personally puzzled as to why no one in this story is suspecting the woman of being a serial killer. And if I was brother 7, I would not be marrying this lady. But that's another story. Here's how Jesus answers the question. He says, those of us who belong to this age, like this time bound age, we still marry each other. But those of us considered worthy of a place in that age, in the resurrection from the dead, they're not going to be marrying each other in that age. In fact, those people don't die because they become like the angels, children of God in a resurrection family. Don't you remember, he says to them? When God introduces himself to Moses at the burning bush, he says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, 3 people who lived centuries before. So you can be sure that God is the God of the living, because from his perspective, these 3 are still alive. Then I reckon Jesus probably drops the mic and walks off. Yeah. So, what does it mean? We've got to remember, I think, in the story, I'm not trying to catch Jesus out with my questions like the Sadducees might have been, quite a lot, but I still do have some of these massive unanswerable questions floating about. And loads of them are not coming from logic for me, they're coming from hurt. You know, why didn't you, God? Why didn't you step in and save this person or that one, or change this situation? Why did you heal this person and not the one that I was praying about? How about the time when I begged you to help and you seemed to just stay on mute? What is that about? I think if Jesus' answer tells us anything, it's that there are things that are beyond our logic to be able to understand. They really are too many pieces of our puzzle missing to us, and we can't see everything. We are caterpillars trying to get to grips with what will happen in the next world when our friends have built their cocoons and climbed in, and we've never understood that they become butterflies and live in a totally different world to us. But Jesus, he can see the other side. He is eternal. He has seen eternity. In fact, he is eternity itself. When Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are around, he's there with them. So he says, trust me. You can't see this now, but I've been there and I know. Follow me and I will get you there. And we can trust him. You know, maybe the questions I have now, which seem massive and are loaded with my emotions, when I finally move from caterpillar to butterfly, I'm going to be like, okay, I had too much missing to even begin to ask the right questions. I think we can also look at the answer of Jesus and we can see, if people are going to be more like angels in the next stage of our existence, we can probably recognize that the bodies we have and everything that comes with this physical part of ourselves is temporary. There's something super profound in there too about what it means to be made in God's image. Jesus seems to be suggesting that perhaps even things like gender is time-bound to this life. It makes total sense. The Bible does refer to God as he, but it's really clear in the Bible that God's not a man. You know, God is spirit. And angelic beings are spiritual beings. They just appear in physical form. So if we're made in God's image, then we also are spiritual, eternal beings who have a temporary body. It's beautiful, it's strong, it's fragile, it's flawed, and it is a temple in which God comes to make his home when we invite him in, but it isn't to last forever. This question about who's marrying who in the next stage is nonsense to Jesus. It is like caterpillars saying, well, if I've got 5 friends and they come out of their cocoons, who are they going to be besties with down here in the grass then when they come out? And Jesus is like, what? No, it's not like that. So often we are living with hurt and loss and grief because we miss people who we've deeply, deeply loved, and sometimes it's almost unbearable. Jesus says, will you trust me? It is so, so much more beautiful and whole in eternity than it is here. See, God does see the full jigsaw. He sees the whole picture, the impossible things that we can't see. We're stuck in this one place. It's like we're on one jigsaw piece, and we can maybe see the pieces either side of us. Some really wise people can see 2 or 3 pieces away, but none of us see the whole picture. And anyway, we've got missing pieces that will never be in place until we enter that next stage, the butterfly age. But he sees it all at the same time. All the pieces and how they all fit together. And so, Father God, may we learn to trust you more and more. Help us to have peace inside us when those questions come our way that we have no answers for. Help us to live with the missing pieces. May we more and more learn to see the beauty of eternity, the hope of what is to come, and help us to stop viewing death as an end, but to see it as a rebirth, an emergence into the butterfly age that you see it as, when we and those we love are more like angels, more like the children of God's Spirit, with resurrection bodies, as different as a caterpillar is to a butterfly.
A big thank you to Alex. I think this riddle parable is a particularly challenging one with a lot of things in it which are quite hard to get your head around. So I think the way it's been described and the imagery as well in the video, I certainly found it very helpful, and I hope you have too. If you like to read the parable, the story, the riddle, in the Bible, it's in the New Testament in Luke chapter 20, verses 27 to 38. Now we'll move on to the questions. Again, you can just look at these independently. You can discuss them in a group. You can call up someone and discuss them if you want to. It doesn't have to be face to face. And again, you can select which questions you focus on or go through all of them. So what stood out to you? Do you find the sort of picture of a caterpillar to a butterfly helpful? Why? Do you feel uncomfortable with not knowing all the answers? The sort of mysticism of God? If so, why? And if you don't feel uncomfortable with it, why not? How difficult or easy is it for you to trust God? How could we trust God more? How could we have more peace? We are so grateful to Alex Brown for being happy and willing for us to share and benefit from his videos. I know that I have gained a lot from the messages and the associated visuals and exploring the questions, and I'm sure you have too. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to our next all together. Take care all. Bye.